I don't think they ever figured out how to clean this.
Nah, I don't think it's been clean the entire time it's been here.
This is hella awkward.
It'll get better.
I've never been on the other side of a video camera like this.
Me neither, and I don't plan to. That's why you're on this side of it.
I'm gonna definitely put you on that side of it one of these days.
Once I start doing the same thing as you. I had to get me a Hasselblad to be cool though.
Oh yeah, it's not mine. I'm not that cool. All right, I'm sorry. What was your name again, and where are you from?
Hunter Souza, and I'm from Roseville, California.
What got you into photography, man?
Around 8 years old, I got given my first camera and went out to the coast with my family, and that's when I got to officially start shooting my first photos, was along the beach.
Okay.
And from there, just kind of building off of it, off and on from over the years.
Right on. Sick. So, like, do you have like a particular thing you like shooting the most, you'd say, or is it like?
A little bit of everything, but one of the biggest things that captures my attention is mainly portraits.
Portraits, yeah.
That's because you capture the emotion of each individual, and so that's the reason why I kind of focus on portraits as more of a candid aspect, because you get the true meaning of that moment.
What are you shooting with today?
Today I'm using the Canon EOS R with a 70-200 RF lens f4.
Right on. Is that the old action camera rental?
Nope, actually not the action camera rental today. Finally decided to make the purchase.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Did it.
That's nice. This lens is a little tight, so I'm gonna keep maybe
walking away.
A little bit of a distance. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. What millimeters is it?
It's a 31, but this is a Super 35 sensor, so it's technically like a 50.
Zooming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a favorite spot you like to shoot in? Or you're just kind of wherever you are. Bring your camera wherever.
So a lot of the times I try to take a lot of my photos within a street aspect, kind of more focused towards street photography.
Okay.
So one of my favorite locations is the Bay Area, and if not in the Bay Area, it's Sacramento, more towards around nighttime is when I like to shoot the most.
Yeah, I feel it. Bay Area is getting kind of sketchy now, huh?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the spots where I've been trying to slow down on taking photos out there and even walking around with the camera.
Yeah.
Recently, we've been out on photo shoots out there, me and one of my friends, and we've had the police actually tell us to put away our cameras and not to be walking around with them out there.
Yeah, I believe it. This was probably SF, or where was it?
San Francisco along Chinatown.
Yep.
You just leave the camera rolling. Yeah.
So where are we heading to right now again?
So right now we are headed to the front doorstep of actually where I used to work back in high school. I took classes for photography within my school, and one of my teachers one day actually said that they had a job opening here and that they were interviewing if any of us were interested. And so this is actually where I made my way to after school to interview and get my second job and my first job working in photography.
Nice. Did you do any photography stuff in high school?
I did. Going through high school, what I did is I took photo 1 and photo 2 out of Oakmont High School, and from there kind of just ran with it and never took any further classes or anything.
Okay.
A lot of the stuff that I learned within those classes was enough to teach me how to get further with photography and working off of that.
I didn't know you went to Oakmont. That's crazy. Oh, so this is it, huh?
Yep, this is it.
Okay.
I used to work inside the back area, actually sorting through the photos before they actually get packaged and mailed off to the schools.
Okay.
I was one of the quality check people that would put all the prints and package them before they got sent off, and then slowly work my way into actually becoming an editor and looking over all of the photos before they're printed and sent it.
That's pretty cool. So what was your first camera? Do you remember that?
My first camera was actually some sort of Nikon like point and shoot camera, fixed lens, just kind of zoom off of a little button off the side, and then from there I ended up with a Nikon Coolpix, one of the point and shoot ones that are a small little rectangle.
Yeah, I think I had one of those too. I had the Canon version though, the Power Shot, I think it was called.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Canon Power Shots were awesome for their time.
They really were. You ever shoot film, or is it mainly just digital?
I owned a film camera for a small period of time. It was a Canon AE1, and I took photos on it for a little while, but I actually never got any of those pictures developed. It was one of those things where
Yeah.
kind of just shot with it and hold the film on my shelf. I'm still waiting on it. They might be expired, they might not be.
That
I
shit's
may or may not
expensive,
release
man.
them.
It's really, really expensive now.
Yeah.
I love it, but it's like, man, it's $24 just to send a roll out and get scans.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's crazy looking back on how cheap film used to be versus what it is now. It's
Yeah.
more costly than shooting digital in some aspects.
Kind of makes it more desirable, though, in a way, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Photographers around in our area, they mainly try to keep to themselves. I've noticed that a lot of people gatekeep and
Yeah.
actually don't share what they photo and what they do. And so that's one of the biggest issues with photographing around here. And
That's
it's hard
actually-
to kind of build a community off of it when the community kind of sticks to themselves.
That's so true. Gatekeep, that's the right word.
Yeah. Most accurate representation.
Hey,
And then
what are you shooting with? Oh, I can't tell you that.
yeah, that's exactly how it goes. Another thing that happens with being a photographer around here is there is and there isn't a lot of good places, but it's also what you make of each
Yeah.
area that you're in. You have to create your next shot instead of focus on what you got around the shot.
Think they wanted to be noticed.
They did.
Can't hear shit now.
Using the red, do you have access to seeing like your mic volume and everything on the screen?
So I would if I had the proper I/O for it.
Yeah.
The I/O alone is like $1,200.
Oh, really?
So I got these Lark Max by Hollyland. So I just record externally, sync it up in DaVinci. That way it's like my own little audio. I don't have to spend an extra $1,200. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, what do you use? Like, what's your workflow? I use like a big 6 terabyte SanDisk. I just work off of that, whether it's Lightroom or DaVinci.
So right now I'm just kind of sticking with more of like a budget-oriented setup. I just use a basic MacBook Pro, and along with my MacBook Pro, I store everything along Google Photos, and then I back everything up to now a external SSD that's only 1,000 gigabytes, so 1 terabyte.
Okay, nice.
One of my main focuses right now that I'm starting to pay attention to is my lenses, my focal lengths, and
Yeah.
what things are needed for each shot. So one of the things that happened recently is I found myself wanting to get more focused photos
Yeah.
on my subject and wanting to do more compressed kind of shots where bringing the background a little bit closer, whereas I was more focused. So I started using the Canon 70-200 and renting it out for a lot of shoots.
Yeah, I remember
And
you telling me that. That's like, is that your go-to baby now?
this is definitely the
Yeah.
go-to for almost all of my photo shoots that I've done recently. And if not this, believe it or not, I'm starting to make a lot use of the Canon 24 to, I believe it's 105 that I have in my bag. It's just the standard kit lens, but
Okay, yeah.
I mean, no hate there, but
No,
those
not
kit
at all.
lenses are OG.
I like them too.
So as you're driving through this tunnel, there's times where I've wanted to shoot photos going down through this little like
Yeah.
straightaway and into the tunnel, and when it's lit up during the nighttime, it looks awesome. But one of the thoughts is there's two different bridges that you don't really see as you're coming through the bottom
Yeah.
until you actually stand up on this box, and it actually opens up a direct shot down to the bottom that I've taken portraits from is up here.
That's pretty sick.
This spot right here is actually where I confronted a musician from a band. I was walking along right here, and one of the biggest things that I've been wanting to get into is concert photography. So I waited until one of the band members happened to walk out to their van on a night that there was concerts going on over here.
Nice.
I sat and talked with them, and upon talking with them, they were able to get me in. The band is actually called Beauty is Betrayal.
Okay, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and so once I was able to get in, I ended up taking photos from multiple other bands and talking with one of their, I guess, tour managers, and started
Nice.
building off from there and started reaching out to other bands. And now that I've actually got content to show and a little bit of a portfolio built,
Yeah.
it's leading to future opportunity within that I'm looking to chase.
That's pretty sweet. Could you see yourself doing like, concert stuff full time, or letting that take over for a little bit?
That would be the ultimate main goal, is getting photos to take over, trying to tour with at least one of the bands, or coming up with something a little bit different. One of the things that I've been focused on is more like kind of moody, cinematic sort of looking photos, along with doing a lot of stuff that's masked, like more like doomsday style stuff. So this right here is actually one of the spots of during that morning when I was getting ready to take pictures of the band. I was actually posted up right here taking portraits through here along the people that were walking through the walkway, and found this little spot.
Oh, this is where you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, that's where that ended up.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
It's a different perspective, especially shooting up here, going down along this angle. It's different.
So you working in like a studio environment, what do you think of studio like portraits versus natural and I guess more of the artistic and abstract shit that you normally like to do?
Hands down, my favorite has to be unposed work. And so that is one of the biggest drawbacks of working around a studio setting, is you're just gonna have the same, repeat look. It's almost like taking a number at a location. You're a number, you're just gonna keep doing the same thing as everybody else is for a look. And that's one of the biggest parts of working around a studio, is you get the same, in a sense, cheesy look. And so being able to break free from that and take portraits, more candid style, you're gonna get authentic reactions, authentic smiles, authentic looks.
To me, it feels so stiff. I don't know. I don't care for, like, I get the beauty of it, the lighting and the whole magazine feel, but man, I get so bored shooting studio work. It's like, use your environment, use what's around you. I mean,
That's also a good thing about being outdoors and doing a lot of the photo shoots, whether it's day or night. If you got a subject that's willing to work with you, walk around and do extra stuff, you're gonna of course get better photos and a better outlook. Man, see, it's stuff like this. Trains passing by in the middle of doing an interview, and you can just start doing photos. See, I like these guys' outlook too. I mean, we showed up filming an interview style thing, and they're just out here enjoying the day together, just taking photos for fun of trains.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's their hobby of focusing on trains or just deciding to do this today.
so back to the AI thing, where do you stand with it?
With AI, well, where do I start? After seeing some of the images where people are changing up the sky, a little bit of the background, this and that, once you start altering the photo to that sense is when I start looking at the photo differently. It's a lot less your creation, your perspective, something that you seen, but it's also not like you created that stuff in, let's just say Adobe After Effects or something like that. So since it is computer generated, I don't consider it necessarily a more photographer art. I consider it more just like a computer art. It's something that, you kind of created it, but
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd agree 100%. Do you ever print your work?
only a handful of times. I've actually printed my own personal work, and the reason for that is because, as you say, the cost of it.
Yeah.
And so I found myself printing just a handful of images that just kind of sit in the drawer, nothing that's hung on the shelf yet. And that's where I kind of stopped wanting to print a lot of my work and more focus on the actual shots and working towards shooting film. And that's where I ultimately want to start pushing myself, is taking more film style photos and more stuff with an actual film body, because I see myself printing that a lot more.
So would you say like you have a favorite time of day to shoot, I mean, I would guess night, hands down.
100% nighttime.
Yeah.
Absolutely nighttime.
I would agree with you. I would say like night or early morning, especially if it's wet outside and you get those reflections. That's actually a really nice time to shoot.
Whenever you take photos at night, what is the setting that you find yourself focusing on the most and changing to capture?
Settings as in like in camera?
Yeah, in camera. It being ISO, your aperture, or your shutter speed. Which one do you use the most?
I'm one of those weirdos who never uses ISO unless I really, really need to. I would say with my GFX or my Lumix, the in-body stabilization is fucking insane. So I can shoot at 1/10 of a second and still get sharp images, and then just put on like a Sigma 1.4 or something, and it's more than enough.
Do the lenses you use have in-body or in-lens stabilization as well?
The lenses?
Yeah.
No, I like to use primes, so just for that, you know, faster aperture and extra low light. Is that 70-200? That has IBIS, right? Or
Yep.
optical whatever Canon calls it.
Stabilization in there. One of the things that I found out about it is 1/200th of a second is kind of where you want to stay at whenever you're doing stuff around nighttime, but you kind of don't want to mess with the ISO too much on the Canon USR. Not bagging on it or anything, but once you start getting up there, you'll find yourself with grainy photos.
I remember I used to have that camera, and my first time using it, just so much noise and banding. I was so afraid.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm thinking about upgrading either the camera body or even switching makers in total and keeping the 70-200 and utilizing it on maybe a Sony or maybe a higher end Canon. I'm not too sure just yet, but that change will be coming soon.
What are you thinking? Like, if you had to name like a top 3 of future camera candidates?
Top 3. If I had to say top 3, it would be probably a Sony A7R III is one of them. And that's just because secondhand, you can pick them up relatively cheap and not going to break the bank too much. Canon EOS R5, that one's in the running there. That's one of the problems of being outside with the camera in your hand is sometimes you just cannot stop taking the photos for at least 1 minute.
Can't stop, won't stop, baby.
Yep, you see something pop up, you just have to do it. And when you don't do it, or your camera's in your bag, you find yourself going, man, I wish that I had that in my hand right about now.
That's so true. Make our way back to the garage.
This is one of the spots where I actually practice my rollers to get good at rollers.
Oh, really?
I used to stand up on top of there, along the top of that light, and just take rollers of cars passing by. And that's how I got down my panning shots and stuff like that.
It's pretty clever. I'm trying to think, did we miss anything?
We probably did.
Probably.
That's how life goes, though.